Can you still hear me?
Oh yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, no, I just turned on Do Not Disturb, so I didn't I don't usually use that feature on my phone, so I didn't know if it would block everything.
No, it's just anything that comes in.
Okay, but
All
it
right.
will collect it, and then when I'm done, it'll
Yeah,
pop up.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
You'll get like a dozen pings after.
Okay, cool.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Those Two Geeks. My name's Alex. His name's Joe. It is, I mean, it doesn't matter to you, but it is a Friday night. We have just realized that there is a bunch of stuff to talk about after New York Comic Con. And because we were impatient, we couldn't wait until tomorrow night to do it
Exactly.
because there's going to be so much more to talk about tomorrow night as well, and probably Sunday too. But we're impatient and we wanted to talk about Friday, mostly because the shit that we want to see has already been revealed, and that's what we want to go over. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I couldn't notice that you were doing this very dramatic pause before the intro because it was like 20 seconds before you introed
that's
us.
actually, it's interesting that you can't hear the music because that's how long it takes for the it to get to the
Ah,
point where you can talk over it because it gets loud,
right.
it's louder, and then it quietens up. So it is about a 20-second pause. So
Right, right. It fades as it goes
yeah,
on.
so
Okay.
it's easy for me to do when we're doing the actual, when we used to do it on Skype, or if we don't do the intro directly here.
Mhm.
It just depends on what works for us at the time. So anyway, this is a behind the curtain thing
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
we could
So,
talk about more and more, but I'd
yeah,
rather
no.
talk about toys, if I'm
Yeah,
honest.
bottom line, we're back talking toys. It's been a little bit of a break. I don't actually remember how long, maybe 4 or 5 episodes, something like
I
that.
I will find out. I think we've touched on toys quite a bit, but last week we
Really?
had Matthew. Before then it was
Yeah.
Terracon, then Batman Day.
Mhm.
Um,
We probably
Before that,
snuck toys into Batman Day
we
with
would have
McFarlane.
snuck toys into Batman Day, but at the
Yeah,
very least, it would have been about a month ago,
right.
month and change. So episode 283. I think this is 288.
No, we're creeping up on 300.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
we're
trust
getting
me,
there.
we'll do something special.
No, we
I'm
didn't.
going to hold Alex to it this time. We've
No, you
missed
won't.
both centennials.
I
I don't know
I
how the
think
hell we did it, but we
I
did.
think it's funnier that we keep saying we'll do something and then we don't because we end up missing it. The only reason I think I'm aware of the numbering is because I'll type it in, but
Yeah,
I think for 100 we had recorded a bunch and then I just wasn't paying attention to the numbering, and then I realized that, oh wait, we just recorded a whole bunch, and one of these was episode 100.
yeah, and then the moment passes and, we could do the old school comic book thing and be like, "Oh, episode 225, 250,
Yeah,
275," but nah, we always forget it either way, but I will make sure that we don't forget 300 because that's a very special number. Regardless,
regardless.
it's New York Comic Con right now, going on in
Yes,
NYC for the next, what, 3 days? It was
3 or 4.
today,
Yeah, uh,
Saturday, Sunday, I
Thursday,
believe.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, so
Yeah, so, honestly, right now, I feel like everyone's come out swinging. It's putting, San Diego Comic Con reveals to shame. They're just blasting
I
through the gates,
so
everybody.
I have a theory about this, and
Mhm,
my theory is entirely that San Diego Comic Con has become much more of a pop culture con, where
absolutely.
whereas New York Comic Con is still the biggest. I say pure Comic Con, but it's still the biggest
It's still a
convention
lot of
where
vendors and a lot of
exactly,
licenses, yeah,
and there's not a lot of movie news that comes out of it. You get like toy,
exactly.
toy reviews, toy reveals, the
Yeah.
odd comic thing here and there, but for the most part, it's like a the big. I would say the biggest of the Comic Cons that are left that are still a Comic Con or a not a pop culture con.
I would
N-
agree with what you're
I
saying,
I
New
wouldn't
York
even
Comic
call.
Con. Oh,
I
sorry.
wouldn't even. I wouldn't even call San Diego a pop culture con. It's much more of a an event, right?
Yeah, it's
It's a cultural event. Is what it's become. So I think it's even gone beyond
Exactly.
the pop culture con. Like, I think true Comic
I
Cons
would
would
say so.
just have. So
It's
I was
like
going
an
on a rant.
expo. No,
Yes,
that's okay.
exactly. Yeah.
It's like an expo that happens every year. New York Comic Con would probably be the biggest quote unquote Comic Con, but compared to San Diego, it's still number two across
Oh,
all
easily.
Comic Cons, even more than what is it, MCM over in London? That's
Mm,
probably three, I would say.
yeah.
So this one's huge, but this one seems to be where vendors really sneak in things, even though supposedly every year San Diego Comic Con is supposed to have the biggest reveals, which is why you always have, the exclusives for San Diego Comic Con. But if you've noticed, they've really leaned back on that. Like exclusives for, I would say, the past 2 years haven't been anything like crazy over the top like they used to be because it's more focused on, Hall H,
Yep.
MCU, and everything like that. But regardless, we knew HasLab was coming for some property because it's Hasbro and they can't help but make a HasLab. And we'll discuss the HasLab second. The first thing we'll discuss, I was guessing it a couple months ago. I think I even guessed it on the show, but I was wrong how it came about. I thought we were going to get the first quote unquote second chance HasLab with a deco change so that people wouldn't go crazy and bitch because, when you say, hey, this is a once in a lifetime, we're not doing it again, it becomes a collector's item.
Exactly.
So re releasing it shits on those people who got it the first time around. It helps people who didn't get it and helps people who are idiots and sold it. But like the people who backed it cold hard, it screws them over because now their item becomes of less
It,
value because even though it's not the same, it's very, very close enough that it
mhm.
diminishes the value. If it's like $800 and then you can get it now for 325, people are going to get it for 325.
Of
So
course they
they
are.
didn't go that route, but you sent me something last night before I fell asleep and you were like, "Oh, there's a footprint." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Shit, it's a Sentinel."
Oh, it was
Now,
100% a Sentinel when we saw
right.
it yesterday, and then I don't know if we woke up or if it was just one of those things that just were
Yeah.
shown after the fact or however it came about. But you could see online
Yeah. It was
that there are different
100% a
spots.
Sentinel.
Oh,
Yeah,
easily.
and
Yeah.
even
So
the
you can see.
teaser with the computer code and all that
Yep.
shit was like it led you. It's a Sentinel. But what threw me off was you sent me the picture of the footprint with the rock, and I
Yeah.
looked at it because like Wolverine and Cyclops were next to it. Now apparently I don't know scale because I looked at it and said, "Oh shit, that's the size of a HasLab Sentinel's foot." Like it looks similar to what I had. And people were like, "Oh, it's way too small. It's not even the same scale. It's not even close." I'm like, "How the hell are you looking at that and, saying it's not as big?" Turned out they were right and I was wrong.
No, it's a 22-inch figure.
Yeah, but the feet aren't the same size, are they?
I assume they are.
Really?
It would. I assume it. I don't know, right? Like I couldn't. I'm not 100% sure, but
Yeah.
I would imagine if it's a 22-inch figure, the feet might not be sculpted the same, but just in terms of
Mm,
the size of it, you would have been closer to right than you would have been closer to wrong
right.
if you
Now
didn't,
this
right?
is up your alley. Like this is the HasLab you wanted when they first announced it because it's not too big for you
It's
and it's the
so
right deco.
the thing is, it's honestly it's about the same size as the original one, so it still has the deco is great. Like I love the deco, but it's the
Oh
I
yeah, it's
still don't
amazing.
know where I'd put it. Like a almost 2 foot figure. Like I still don't have space for that. Like if it was 14 inches, I would be all over it. But
Dude,
at the s-
I'm gonna say this and advise you. This is one of those things that you get it and you just friggin' find a place for it because it's a centerpiece, especially you as an X-Men fan. Like this
yeah,
is this is
I
made for you, and
oh
it's
what
not charging till next year.
and
So
I yeah, and that's just it. Like the fact that it's a pre-order, which is
yeah,
fantastic, and it's something that you don't have to like
You
You
don't
can
have to
get as
wait
many
for
as
a
you want,
window and all of a
right?
sudden you're gonna get clobbered with a payment, which is
Exactly.
great
So you know when it's coming out. I'd have to look into more how much it would cost coming over to Canada,
for shipping, yeah.
because I did see that it had been, I think somebody had pre-ordered it on Reddit and it was 175,
Yep.
and by the time they added taxes and shipping and everything, it was 220 something.
Wow,
But
dude,
I
that's
don't
crazy.
I don't know if that is a specific to that person,
Right,
if it,
right.
like if it's just where they are. I don't know where they are exactly, but
So for
it's
me, even with the um the shipping and well, I mean the shipping's free because it's technically over a certain amount. But
yeah,
even with the tax and everything else, it still comes under the $200 mark for me. So I'm like, okay, this is very, very doable, and I don't want to, kick myself in the ass if I don't get it. Plus, it's
yeah.
not charging till September of next year, which I think is brilliant. I'll be very honest with you. I
Oh, it's
think
fantastic.
Marvel
Yeah.
has learned their lesson. I don't think you're going to see another HasLab from them ever. I think they're done. I
I
think they're going
think
to
you're
do
right.
made to order projects now.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
And honestly, for their brand, it's smart because they got spanked twice. Like the
Yep.
Engine of Vengeance was a debacle, and Giant Man barely funded. It was down to the wire. Now you look at Ghostbusters, you look at GI Joe, and you look at Transformers. They never miss. It's just hit, 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 hit. So it makes sense for them to continue with the HasLab project because I'm sure Hasbro Pulse and Hasbro as a corporation really likes the HasLab model. So they're going to keep it going. I just don't think you'll see it from Marvel. I think Marvel is going to just, once in a while have these not crowdfunded, but these made to order items like Dragon Man, and they're going to do it that way. But I also think Marvel is being forced to keep their prices down because they're the worst out of all the brands when it comes to price hikes. So I think this is like the best of both worlds. I think it's them realizing, okay, we're getting spanked and we're supposed to be the flagship brand for Disney and we need to do something to alter this. So I think these two things, Dragon Man and the Sentinel, are their way of saying, okay, we're hearing you, we hear your complaints, this and that. The only thing is, I looked at it, the price is not horrible. It really isn't for a 22, inch figure.
No, it's
It
actually somewhat reasonable, and the sales
right.
tax is $26. So
Yeah,
if I was gonna get it, it would be $200.
exactly. So it's not egregious, but like they did take out some things. Like there's no lights and sounds.
I'm
So they
I'm
took that
I'm
out.
I'm honestly fine with that, because so here's my thing with lights and sounds. Yes, I have a 12-inch Terminator figure from the
Yeah,
90s. It still works with lights and sounds.
right.
But over time, if you don't maintain them, the
Yeah,
batteries can corrode inside,
of
right?
course.
Like, so their fact lights and sounds are great, but they're so
Yeah.
easy to just uh, not
Yeah,
decompose,
I
but you
mean,
know what I mean?
something
Like,
can
it's,
happen to it
yeah,
in
exactly.
storage
It's
or
it's
whatever.
easier
Right.
to not
No,
worry
absolutely.
about that than anything else. So I am not upset that there's no lights and sounds. That is not a breaking point for me,
So
as
for
it would
me,
be for
there's
so
always
many others.
like my cousin and I have a joke. He's like, if you want Joe to buy it, just put LEDs in it. He'll buy anything that lights up. And it's pretty true for the most part. That's how any big project wins me over. So I'm salty about there being no lights for the Sentinel, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, when you had the Sentinel and you have like, do you ever use the lights? No, you turn them
You
on
don't.
once and then you don't use them because you don't want the batteries to corrode or you don't want something to happen to it. But it's like I'm still one of those people that's like, I'm not going to use it, but I would like to have it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's stupid. But what doing no lights allows, I guess, on this one will be more articulation for the Sentinel overall. Like, and now it can probably ab crunch and things like that that it couldn't do before because you have the what's it called, the circuitry going through the core of the figure. This time you don't have that. So I didn't really look at it too much. Like I got to glance at two pictures before I got on with you.
Yeah,
I
I don't
saw
know if
the
there's an
face
ab
was
crunch
messed up.
to it.
Yeah, but it's a Sentinel. Why would it have an ab crunch?
The only reason I think it would need an ab crunch is so you could have it bend over to do certain
Right.
certain poses. But for the most part, like you get the additional face and helmet.
Yeah.
There's something else, and every time I don't know why this does it.
What's
So
happening?
the music played again. I don't know why the music played again,
That's weird.
but the music played again. So
Okay.
yeah, it's not a big deal.
But so it doesn't have lights and sounds. Okay, that's a big selling point usually that they tack on like 20, $30. So it doesn't have that. It has a couple special effects. That's fine. It looks the part. It is absolutely 110% an X-Men animated deco, which is great, especially
Yeah,
for people who are into 97. My only complaint, yes, it's made to order and whatnot. They still should have gave a figure with this thing for the price point. I mean,
I
even
I
a
th-
Trask or
I
anything.
think you're getting something like that down the road. Bastion, Trask, someone in the next wave of '97.
Yeah, but you don't think this offering should have came with like a human sentinel, like a person who turned or anything, because it is a good price. It really is. And Giant Man didn't give us a figure either, but it's a much different kind of offering. This thing, it's going to look nice. It's gonna play the part. And like I said, I really, really, I fuck it. I'm going to back two of them, and you're getting one, and all you'll have to, I'll pay you damn shipping because you can't go without this, dude. You literally, I don't want to see you go without this. But it didn't blow me away. It's great. It's like, okay, I'm glad it's not $300, $400, which was what I was dreading. I'm glad it wasn't a HasLab back to back with another HasLab we'll talk
Yeah,
about. So that's cool. I don't get whacked in the wallet till way next year, and it's manageable because it's 175 and change, which fine. Toys, it's just the way it is. But I don't know. I can't help but feel overall it didn't blow me away. It's nice and I want it, but it just didn't like I wasn't like, "Oh my god, I have to have that." And I think the reason I'm thinking it is because of what came out in the morning just really blew the doors off everything and took the wind out of Marvel's sails. Like I would have put this out in the morning before the HasLab was announced fully. For me, that's what I would have
yeah.
done. I feel
No,
like it
I
felt
agree.
flat.
It
So,
it's funny. So I think that the HasLab that they announced
mhm,
and this almost go against each other just in terms of the marketing
right.
punch, because you have the Sentinel at argument's sake $200,
Mhm,
and then you have the HasLab at between 325 to
and 400.
400.
So we'll go into it now. The HasLab that was announced was a 1/12 6-inch scale, fully decked out Ecto 1 from Ghostbusters. But it wasn't just an offering of a car. It wasn't a shell. This thing is literally what it says. It is the ultimate version for figures of an Ecto 1. Even if you don't want figures, this thing will be gorgeous on your shelf. And the fact that it came so loaded, not just with features, but with figures, is unbelievable. Like everyone needs to take notes. This is how you do a HasLab. No one should be like, oh, you can't do it because there's this cost, this cost. Bullshit. They just showed you can get a whole collection in one swoop. If you didn't have one plasma figure, you got your entire collection if you get the deluxe HasLab. All done. Everything you need. And if it unlocks the early bird, even better. You literally got everything you could possibly want, other than a Janine, which I was praying that they'll have some unlocks, but I don't think so. I think they played their cards and just said, boom, here's everything you get up front if you want this. Which is smart because they're not, hiding behind a paywall or, making you guess. But the amount of shit this thing packed, like it put the Hiss tank and price to shame. Like it annihilated it. And I love the Hiss tank. But this thing is 23 inches. This thing has lights, sounds. It has open glove compartments, changing wheels, changing doors, folding interior. Like, I mean, it has everything you could ask for. I was beyond blown away. I never thought we were going to get this from Hasbro. Another company maybe, but never at this level. And when I saw it, I said, "Oh shit, this thing's going to be maybe 550."
Yeah, when
325, I almost pissed myself.
when I was looking through at the images, I'm like, there's no way. These are
Yeah,
ridiculous. So you get now. I'm going through it. It isn't something that I would back because while I love
right,
Ghostbusters, this isn't a collection I need to start. But if I was going to start it, this
right.
is all that you would need.
Yeah, it's
You
a
get
one-stop shop
yeah, like you
completely.
get for the again. So for $75 extra,
Right.
you would get four figures, which alone is worth the price,
Over a
right?
hundred. Right.
So $75. If you say $20 a figure, just straight up for
Yeah,
the four Ghostbusters, that's your bonus for the deluxe model there.
exactly.
But you
Exactly.
also get enough to transform it into the night between an 84 to 89
And
Ghostbusters.
yep, exactly.
So it's well worth it that on that alone to get to spend the extra. But if you
Yeah,
wanted to get if you just wanted the the regular one, you don't need the figures. Then save yourself 75, $80. It's great.
yeah,
You can do that. It's your choice. And
exactly.
I
Like
think
if you're
that's what's
happy,
so cool
oops, sorry.
about no, I
Yeah,
think that's what's so cool about this is that just on the base offering of the car alone, you save a ton. However, there's
exactly.
also a bunch of other stuff. I think they said there's like mugs and accessory things as well.
Oh, dude, there's Easter eggs up the wazoo. Like
It's
you don't
everything
just
in
get
there.
you don't get just get like something to change the deco slightly for two
No,
movies because
you
Ecto
get an
One had
entirely new deco.
you get a completely new thing. You get a brand new roof with a freaking LED banner that goes around perpetually. Like, I mean, you get a very ostentatious Ghostbusters Ecto 1A if you want it that way. If you're me and you're a purist, it's awesome that you're going to get everything, but I am going to keep it 84. However,
It
I love the jumpsuits from the second movie way more. I hate the freaking tan, like drab ones. I love
yeah,
those charcoal gray, blue ones. So that's what I'm going to do. But you also get the library ghost that no one's done.
yep.
Finally. And they even said, if you read the HasLab, they're like, what took us so long to do this ghost? Like, because everyone's wanted it. It's the first thing you see in
It's
Ghostbusters.
arguably one of the most iconic ghosts
Yeah.
in cinema, and it's never
Besides
been.
Slimer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
no,
then
exactly.
on top of that, you get Slimer. And you don't just get re-releases of the original what are they called, plasma series. They're very similar. I'm sure the bodies are basically exactly the same, but they definitely retreaded on the head and some of the paint, like because obviously Hasbro's gotten better since those first Ghostbusters have come out. So like they have the what's it called, the paint printing tech that's
Mm,
much better. So like it's not worlds better, but it's better. And you get the Ghostbusters proton packs, the slime packs from Ghostbusters 2. So you get the proton packs, you get the slime
yep.
packs. I mean, you literally get everything. You get the gurney. You get like holy crap, man. There's so
I
many
can
features in
I
this thing.
can see a lot of people getting two of these.
Yeah, my
Now,
cousin wants two, and I'm like, you're
yeah.
nuts. But yeah,
So my theory with it is if you can get two, and you want to,
right.
you're better off getting it now when they're available
Yeah,
because
exactly.
like, you can get like if you got two, just two of the deluxe, you could sell the ghosts,
Yep,
second set of ghosts and figures and
right.
everything
Good point.
easily, and then you've
Good point.
probably made a good chunk of it back
Right.
alone. Like if you sell the figures for 25, $30 a pop,
Yeah,
right? Like six figures, $25 a pop for argument's sake, it's $150 back. Especially if
right.
you only want it for the 80, 84,
Right.
and 85 next to each other on the shelf. Now, I mean, that's a hell of a lot of room to take up.
No, and it's an amazing display idea. You know what I mean? It's for the absolute complete
Yeah.
psycho. which is it's cool. They're out there, but you are saying I think you're lowballing reselling the figures because
Oh,
you got
I'd
to remember
100% lowballing.
they're probably easily 45, 50
Oh,
at the
easily.
lowest each.
Yeah.
So there you
No,
go.
you could if you get this, there are going to be people that just get the standard model and then
Yep.
have FOMO with certain things from the figures, the different
Right.
accessories. So they will 100% end up paying a lot more for them.
Yeah.
But even if we just look at, the base price of a Ghostbusters figure is $25, even if you sell it at that,
Right.
you're making a
Exactly.
good chunk of it back.
You're making at least over a third back if
Yeah.
you sell all six. You're so it's not the worst, but like you're making your money back. And arguably, man, I'm mad at you now. My cousin couldn't do it earlier, but you just literally have my wheels spinning, going, "Do you get a second one and sell?" Because you're gonna, like, oh fuck, dude, I don't
You
have that, but I might
you
end up
you
doing it.
but the thing is you could probably sell if you get a second deluxe, you
Easy.
could probably sell the second roof.
Yeah, you could probably piecemeal it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, like I don't like when people do that, but on this, you literally probably could because it's so
Yep.
different enough and it doesn't matter. It's not like there's a different mold for the deluxe and the base. So like if you got the base and then later you were like, ah shit, I really wish I had the second roof. I should have got the deluxe. There will be somebody selling that roof and it will
Somewhere.
work. Yeah.
Yep. Because
But
someone would have bought two for that display and they don't
exactly.
need a second roof. They don't need the other decals.
Exactly. But what I'm most impressed at is this they literally put a lot of time and thought and, idea into the marketing of this whole project. Like that's why it wasn't rushed, obviously,
Hmm.
because you cannot argue looking at other things of this nature and price you cannot argue that you're not getting your money's worth on either mod. Like even at the base, you're getting your money's worth, I feel. But you're just getting so much more for that extra $75. It's insane. You're getting like an extra $200 value out of
It
nowhere.
This is how they should be done, right? Like
Absolutely.
you
Like I
have
said.
your base offering of the the product, and then
Yeah,
hey, this is what we're going to charge you if you want all the extra tiers. This is how much you have to pay to get the additional tiers. You
agreed.
can you can look at that as in like, oh, so how would you break that down? Well, tier one would probably be two of the figures, tier two would be the other two, tier three would be their
Right,
accessories,
right.
right? Like that's
And
how you would break that down if you were doing it as tiers. And I
and the
think
thing
that's why it
is,
makes more sense to have increase the price for the people that want that additional tier.
yeah, absolutely. And it's not patronizing people
No,
like other campaigns. That's the thing that they also clearly took notes on and figured out is that, okay, people want their worth. They want to back the properties that they absolutely adore. So let's give them a reason. But I mean, this is beyond giving a reason. Like even G.I. Joe doesn't do it this well. I mean, they
no,
freaking was like, boom, here you go. And so far, every Ghostbusters HasLab has been a very quick fund and can't miss. And they resell for crazy. Like my Proton pack is probably about $1,000 if I wanted to get rid of it, but I won't. And so there's no argument that this thing will retain value, but also it just gives you everything. Like I cannot wait to roll this thing on the ground and hear the Ghostbuster siren that rear, rear. Like I cannot freaking wait because you've never got that in a
no.
Ghostbusters toy ever. No Kenner, no anybody has ever done it. And now we're getting it. And it's you're getting a microphone in the Ecto one too. Like a what's it called? Like a what the hell I'm trying to think of. A you know what I'm
Megaphone.
trying to say. Not a megaphone. It's like surround, but in an area.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, I know what you mean.
So yeah, you're getting one of those. You're getting lights, you're getting sounds, you're getting deco, you're getting wheels that change, you're getting engineering, you're getting like I mean, they thought of everything at this scale that they could possibly think of.
Yep.
The only thing they could do to make this better, which would be asinine at the price, but they would, throw in a freaking Stay Puft Marshmallow Man that's like 14 inches. Like that would be crazy on their part because then they would lose money. But for the price, I don't think they could do anything better. I see this I see this funding within the next week or two at the latest.
I This is going to fund. There is no doubt in my mind this is going to fund. It's
100%.
it's all a matter of how quickly it funds, and I think
I don't think
because
it funds over the weekend or anything like that. I think you'll get like I mean it's HasLab. People get excited at first, so
yeah,
I think you'll see something like 5 to 6,000 backers over this weekend total, and then it will
yeah,
start being a crawl. But it's
and
got to
then
hit what
it'll
12.
explode at the end.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
once people know that they won't get Lewis Tully if this thing does an early bird, it will explode.
yeah.
So that will be great.
Is Lewis Tully the early bird?
Yeah. So he's the only thing not included in the offering. And if it funds within the first, they were even smart on this. They weren't like, oh, if it funds in the first 7 days, they're like, nope, if it funds in the first 2 weeks, no matter when you back it, if you back the project, you will get it. So it's not one of those, oh, I'm on the fence. I don't want to do it yet, but I'm going to miss it because I wasn't one of the first 2 weeks. Nope. They're just like, everybody gets it if it funds.
Yep.
So it's smart. Like, they didn't patronize. They didn't, you know, look at you like you're an idiot. Like, oh, geeks will buy anything. Like unfortunately, Marvel has multiple times. So this deserves the fund. I mean, this thing's incredible. I don't know where they go from here though. Like I think they've topped them. I think this is
I
it.
think so.
Other than yeah,
I
other
I
than
and
a slime pack you can wear, that's 1 to 1.
Yeah,
That's it.
and that's just it. Like I think that when it comes to stuff like this, and then conversely, Dragon Man and the 97 Sentinel, they
Yep.
finally figured out the best way to get it to make those products because people want more than 5 Sentinels. If they can afford it,
Right.
they want a whole bunch of those Sentinels.
Of course.
This way, it allows them to get as many as they want. There's no
Yep.
reason, oh, limit of 5 per person. Why would you bother limiting anything? It
Right.
makes no sense to me why you would limit that.
Especially if it's made to order. Like the whole point
Exactly.
of made to order is for you to get as many as you humanly can. But
Yeah. If
I don't
someone
know.
wanted to get 15 of them, well,
Hmm.
there's no reason not to. Let them get it.
Right. From a metric standpoint, once this mold is out, you want to make the mold back because I think,
Yep.
like, for McFarlane, the average figure supposedly, but he probably makes it back. The average figure for a different mold is the casting is like 200 grand. It's between 100 and 200 grand per figure. Now, if you think about that, that's absolutely insane when we're creeping up to like 300 McFarlane figures. And I actually had my buddy was counting it out. He's like, it's well over 200, which I was astonished. But Todd sells what, 1 million of each? So there you go. And like Marvel, unfortunately, the metrics don't lie. Marvel's stuff isn't selling as well the past couple of years. Like it's always on sale. It's always, on a
It,
deal.
I think
So
part of that is also people are. I think the pandemic or 2020 really messed people up in terms of how
oh, of
much
course,
people were buying because
of
we,
course.
we were sat home. We're like, well, what do we do? Oh, I'll buy this, I'll buy that. Like people were buying
Right.
waves upon waves.
Yeah, it
So
gave you a
companies were
false sense
still
of
right.
you know, demand.
Yeah, they were still producing that much,
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden, like people like you and I have tapered. I was like, well, I don't need all of that. Like I spent more in the last year on vintage toys than I
Right.
have on new stuff.
Of course. And why is that?
So
Because vintage toy nostalgia, it sparks a joy. So yeah,
exactly. Like I don't have any great attachment to US Agent. I don't
no,
really care about half that stuff. It
no,
just so
it's not.
happened the stuff I really cared about was coming out in the pandemic. The different Spider-Men I
Yep.
wanted, X-Men that I was looking for, that kind of thing. I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll get this, maybe I'll get that. So there was a
Right,
bunch of
because
stuff
it was
that
a
was out.
fresh roster during the
Exactly.
pandemic. They were hitting like veins that they were not tapping before and not afraid
Yep.
to throw you like 5 new figures that look
And
different.
then you get like Maverick and things like that. So I think
Exactly.
now that they've done what, 4 Moon Knights in the last 4 years.
Right. And what, eight
God,
Spider-Man, nine,
yeah,
10
God,
Spider-Man?
God knows how many different versions of Wolverine. Like
Right. Yeah.
now, while Spider-Man and Wolverine are figures that I'm more inclined to pick up just because of the displays I have with those,
Same.
I'm less inclined to pick up another version of Captain America. I have one. I don't need another cap. Like the cap I
Right.
have, the 20th anniversary is the cap.
I agree. For Marvel Legends, it is, but
Yeah.
the Mafex one, oh my God, I have mine coming because I canceled it and I was like, I got the Legends. This thing bomb. And then I saw everybody's picks and everything in hand, and I said, holy shit, that is truly like the ultimate comic book cap. Like it's just
Yeah.
flawless. However, the thing is with these other companies, like even McFarlane, who is one of the most stubborn people ever, clearly, because he didn't want to put articulation in figures for 20 years.
Hmm.
Even he knows, okay, I've got to bend a little bit when it comes to my audience and what they want. They want cloth capes. I'll give them cloth capes. And now he pretty much gives you a freaking cloth wired cape with just about every figure that requires it. Marvel Legends is still giving you the same old bullshit of,
They're
oh, we can't do
slowly
it.
starting, right? Because you've got the cloth
Right,
lab coat with Beast. I think that's come with
right.
a couple of the others. You've
Giant
got,
Man. Yep.
yeah, Doom has a cloth cape.
Hmm.
So it's slowly coming. I think that they're finally getting to the point where Toy Biz or were with the Batman '89 figures or
Yep.
Sharon Toys. Like that,
Right.
so you're slowly getting to that point where with some of those figures that it is, this was 30, 40 years ago that you had a cloth cape on a Batman figure.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Superpowers, you
yeah,
know?
exactly. Like it's foolish that you have like I've there's a Driz Duerden figure from D&D who has
Oh,
a
yeah, yeah. I
giant
remember that figure.
plastic cape. Like
Right.
it's solid. Like it's absolute. It's sculpted well and it
Hmm.
fits over the figure well. But at
Right.
the end of the day, like if you want to pose him with that cape on, he's got to stand still straight up. There's nothing
Yeah.
else he can really do with the nature of that cape.
I mean, the thing is, like, people, companies have to accept that, collectors evolve with
Yeah.
their collection. Like, most people take pictures and do Instagram and all kinds of shit. But like what happens? People buy a base Marvel Legend that is very good on a base, and then they deck it out with, an aftermarket wired cape. And there's a huge market for that. But I really feel like McFarlane's cutting into that now because he's like, you know what? Just give them the fucking fabric and give them the cape. People
Hmm.
want it that bad. If my figures are going to sell better, fine, let's do it. And
Plus,
Marvel
you can
Legends
also
is telling,
reuse some of the old molds that he's got to reissue
yeah,
some of the different
exactly,
figures, right?
exactly, and it's genius. But like Marvel Legends is giving you this bull crap about, oh, we can't. It's cost effective. If we do it, we're gonna have to raise the price of the figure, $10. Why can McFarlane do it? Why does
Yeah.
he do it 200 figures? Do
How
you know what I
how
mean?
how can you do it with Star Wars?
Yeah. And I was talking to my a friend of mine the other day who doesn't like McFarlane. He always, craps on him. He's like, "Oh, McFarlane's, inferior to Marvel Legends." I said, "Then why is McFarlane constantly kicking Marvel's ass 2-to-1 in sales?" And it's true. When I've been going into stores lately, there's empty, pegs for most McFarlane figures, unless it's one that's been circulating. Marvel Legends are sitting there. Whatever, the past two waves are, is usually sitting there, except for like She-Hulk. Like there's a couple figures that are so sought after. Like you won't see Sabretooth sitting on the shelves, but you
No.
will see Lady Psylocke and Wolverine in that gear sitting on the shelf. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
So it's interesting. I was looking at that two pack and like, well,
Do you
I
need it?
I'm trying to collect every Wolverine's costume, not figure,
Right,
but costume.
of course.
And I've bent my rules a little bit when it comes to the various different Tiger Stripe ones because you
Hmm.
have the animated, you have cell shaded, and in my mind, these are different. Like you can have it on the shelf as a
Right,
different version of the character,
right. It
but I
exists.
don't.
Yeah,
I, yeah, like, but I don't need two versions of Wolverine in a black suit, especially when
right.
the only real difference is the paint around the neck and the head sculpt. The head sculpt's fantastic. but do I really need to pay that much for two head sculpts? Because I don't
Exactly.
care about Lady Psylocke. I don't.
And
I have
you actually get to the point where I've been getting, surprisingly. So you with Wolverine and me with Batman, you actually find yourself sitting there going, hold on, do I need another Batman right now? Because I have like 50 of them. Like, yeah, they're good, but like, do I need another Batman? It's slightly different than the one I have. Yeah, it's an upgrade, but do I need it? Or do I want to wait for something that's, much better, like
it's
a Damian Wayne or something, you
so
know?
this that question reminds me a lot of video games, and
Okay.
so specifically like Assassin's Creed, NHL, Madden,
Hmm.
FIFA, FC, like the WWE games, any game that has a yearly iteration.
Right. Yep. I know
How
where you're going with this. Yep.
right? So I don't when I buy an NHL game, I'll usually buy the year before's version because it's
Hmm.
cheaper, and then I'll play that for a couple of years. Is the rosters out of date? Absolutely. But because
Right.
I primarily play Be a Pro mode or the GM mode, it doesn't matter if the roster's out of date because after a little while, it's going to be out of date in your game anyway.
Exactly.
So I'm more than happy to play an older version and then, oh, NHL 24 is out. Okay, cool. NHL 25 is out. Yeah.
Yeah.
NHL 26. Oh, that's got some cool features. NHL 27 is coming out. Perfect. I'll buy NHL 26.
Right. Exactly. Like I
Right?
do
Like,
the same with WWE.
yeah. So
So,
ironically enough, I actually bought 2K23 and
hmm
2K24 came on PlayStation Plus. So I've been playing a lot of that, but I'm not gonna buy it. And if
no.
it comes off PlayStation Plus or I lose a subscription and don't renew, I'm still not going to be that upset 'cause I've still got 2K23 and I'm happy with that
Right.
version.
Right.
But
Agreed.
right, like 2K 24 is great and I really enjoy it, but it's not the be all and end all.
No. And
It's
I
not
think, yep, sorry.
like sorry, it's not different enough other than the odd character in it. It's not different enough that I
Hmm.
need to have it. And because I don't follow WWE, it doesn't matter to me who the characters are or who the wrestlers are in there as much.
Yeah. And also with the games now, like especially WWE, there's always constant DLCs that are updating the roster, even if the game's older, that it's updating the roster to what you would get on the new roster. So
Yeah,
I got 2K23. I like it. I haven't gone through the campaign and really like delved into it, but I've messed around with it quite a bit. I think it's good. I hate the pin. I've always just, other than freaking, No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000, I've always hated the pin sequence in these games. I hate that, bar that you have to like time just, oh, I hate that
yeah.
thing. But the mechanics of the game is pretty good. I didn't get 24, and I'm kind of shocked that I didn't like run out to the store and
It
get it. I wanted to, but then I was like, you know what? I don't play 23 enough. And also, how different is it going to be? By the time I get 24, the roster's outdated anyway. Like, there's new characters like Uncle
yeah.
Howdy and all that. So,
So honestly, Uncle Howdy, there is a version of Uncle Howdy in the game, but you've got to buy him, like
yeah,
in
it just
with
came
the
out, right?
WWE currency. But then there's also a new version of Uncle Howdy that they've just released on
Yeah.
DLC. So I don't know the difference, and frankly, I'm not going to find out
So, at
because I'm
least you
playing the
got,
free game.
yeah, at least you got two back to back good versions of 2K.
Yeah,
So, the last one I picked up before 2K23 was I picked up 2K0 with, I think it was Becky Lynch on the cover. And that game, I got burned so bad. That game was so fucking glitchy and messed up, and I bought it basically for the Bray Wyatt experience because that's they had like the fun house that had, the compound and everything, like that's what it was touted. I bought it and it was god awful, those
mm,
features, and I was like, this is the reason I bought it. And the game wasn't too much different than whatever 19, like whatever it wasn't 2K, it was just WWE 19. So it
yeah,
wasn't
the year
different
before.
enough for me to warrant it. And like the game was horrible. I don't know what happened with the engine or whatever. So I didn't buy 2K21. I didn't buy 2K22. Like I completely sat them out and didn't even think about it because in my mind I was like, oh, Fight Forever is coming and it's going to blow the doors off these things. Oh my God, was I wrong? But that was my mind. So when I got Fight Forever and was extremely disappointed, 2K23 was on pretty good sale because 2K24 was coming in like 2 months.
Yep.
So I went to Walmart. I got it for like $30, and I played the hell out of it for like the first 2 weeks, which I usually do, and then it's been sitting. So I'm like, okay, do I need 2K24 because it's going to do the same thing? I will probably pick up like 2K25 or whatever the next big jump in the series is. And
Yeah.
that's what I do now. Like I used to pick up Madden every year, but there was only slight tweaks every year. And I was like, this is pointless. Like once I get the new Madden, the old Madden's obsolete and I don't play it. So I have a stack of Maddens. It's just dumb. And
And
they're
there,
worthless.
yeah, because
Worthless.
no one wants an old Madden. Like
No.
unless you're someone like me. Now I'm not a big football fan, but I'll usually pick up an older FIFA or
Right. You can use the same
NHL.
analogy with the NHL
Yeah.
games.
So, but
Yeah.
like I always like, it's funny. So there aren't many games I will actively look for digitally, but
Hmm.
FIFA and NHL are the ones I will look for because there's no
Right.
resale value in them. It's not
No,
like
not at all.
Dead Space where you can still trade it in for about half the price that you paid for it.
Yeah.
Depending on where you go, you can still get good money for it if you're
Right.
looking to
But
trade it in. But
I
FIFA,
mean,
as soon as you
depends.
walk out the store, oh wait, can I trade this in? Yeah, we'll give you $4 for it.
Yeah, it's
All
like a
right,
car that came off the lot and it was 80 grand and
it's
all of a sudden it becomes 40 grand the moment you drove it off. It's just the
because
weirdest thing.
it's because everyone knows that when it comes to FIFA, there is no need to
Yeah,
like. There's no resale value because why would you
no,
trade it in? Like, why would you take it as a trade in? It's going to be a thing that happens next year. Like, we're going to get another FIFA next year.
exactly.
So what does it matter?
And FIFA's really like from my experience, I've only played it like twice. It's a fun game, but it's more like you have a huge group of people at a party and everyone plays it. It's for me, it's not like a sit down, I'm gonna play, a season type of thing. And that maybe just because it's, football, but like it just doesn't seem like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Um,
I totally get it, and it's that's just it. Like, that's not too dissimilar
yeah,
to my thoughts on it too, right? Like, I
right.
tend to be more of a I'll play it like
Casual, yeah,
yeah, like I might play a couple of games here and there, but if I'm doing it again, like I enjoy doing the Be a Pro campaign type stuff. So if I'm
mhm,
just because that's the easiest way, I don't play online. I don't have the time and the energy to get as
right,
good as I need to be in order to play online.
right. And that's why, it's funny that we're talking about this, and this was the biggest tangent we've ever gone off on, but we'll bring it back. Friggin', we're talking about these games, but it's weird when you talk the opposite with like Call of Duty or Modern Warfare, because those always improve. Like somehow, some way, they're always a step up, and like they're worth picking up the new iteration. It's not like, oh, I want to skip 3 iterations. No, because there's always
It's
something that
no,
grabs you.
I find with that kind of game, it's also story based. So I don't
Right.
like I won't I haven't played many of the Assassin's Creed games since
No, me neither.
I think 4 or Rogue Assassin's Creed Rogue.
So it was
Now,
3 for me with Boston. That was the last one I played.
yeah, four is still my favorite of all the ones I've played. Like, I think I played Unity eventually in London, but
Okay.
ultimately what it comes down to is I won't buy a new Assassin's Creed game. I won't
Okay.
because
Why?
inevitably the price comes down so low that so in Canada I think they retail for about 60 to $70 depending on
Hmm.
what platform it's on.
Right.
Within about 6 months you can get them for $30.
That's
If
that's
right,
true.
like if not less than that. So why would I pay full price for an Assassin's Creed game when I can wait 6 months, get it dirt cheap? So I've still got
Right.
stuff to play. It's not like I have nothing to play,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's now a game like Ghost of Tsushima, God of War. I'm
Yep.
happy to get those as they come out because they're great games.
Right.
I really want to play them. And yeah, eventually they'll go cheaper, but it takes a lot longer for that kind of thing to go cheaper.
Yeah.
But Assassin's Creed comes out almost every year. So by the time the new one comes out, they've got to reduce the old one.
Yeah, no, they're almost episodic. Like
Yeah,
they're on clockwork. I think two come out a year because no,
almost.
not
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed. It's usually one and then like a subcomponent of the game comes out on like a different release.
Yep.
And that's fine, but Call of Duty does that model too. It's like you get the proper Call of Duty and then you get Modern Warfare or you get whatever the other sub release is, but those are multiple times a year and they sell crazy. They
Hmm.
always sell because the model, there's something that they're giving people. Like now, I even want to get Call of Duty and get back into it. Like I haven't got it since I want to say Modern Warfare 3, where you could play like zombies or something, and it was quite a while ago. I haven't got it, but now like every Call of Duty and every Modern Warfare that comes out, they have like these really crazy like skin packages
Mm.
that you can get for people like you wouldn't expect. But they don't just do like skins like they used to with like Arkham City where you just look like the character and it's not the same. Like there's always backstory and there's always extras. Like I'm so pissed I missed the Spawn Call of Duty. I wish I got it because there's a whole campaign you can play as Spawn and it's a story. It's not just, oh, this guy is a soldier that looks like Spawn, but the campaign's the same. No, you got Malbolgia, you got, the clown, you got like everything, but you can't get it now because once it came out and then it's done. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh man, but that's a cool thing that they're always updating. Like they got Cody Rhodes, friggin' Rhea Ripley, like they're doing wrestling now. And it's not just skins. So that will suck people like me in. If they do a Batman one again, I'll probably grab it because you want to play as something different. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's fun. And I am like, I don't consider myself a gamer because that's a heavy term. Like, that's an insult to other gamers. But I love video games. I've always loved video games. When I have the time to dedicate and sit down, I thoroughly enjoy myself. But it's unfortunate that I don't always make the pocket of time for it. Like I'm not dedicated. Like if I buy a game like Red Dead Redemption, it never gets finished because I play it the first weekend or week and then I go on with my life and forget to go back. So I've started to realize this is kind of a waste of money. Like I don't finish it. And when I talk to you, I'm like, oh, did you finish Spider-Man? You're like, oh yeah. And now I'm going through, I'm getting all the platinums and this and that. And I was like, holy shit, like
I
how did you fucking do that?
I have over 600 hours into Red Dead Redemption 2.
That's crazy. So like you're a busy guy though. When I think
I
about it, you're
Yeah, oh,
busy
yeah.
and you still do it. How the hell does that happen?
Because because I'll often sit down on my lunch break and play it for a bit, right? Because I work at home, so I
Right.
play it on my lunch break. If I'm like, if my wife's gone out with her friends, I'll sit down, and she could be out for several hours, so I'll just sit down
Right.
4 or 5 hours. And Red Dead Redemption's also a 6-year-old game,
Right. No, I
so
know at
it's
this
it's
point.
not as not as much as you would think. But if I've got a day off and she doesn't, I'm either
Mhm.
watching movies or I'm playing games,
So that's the
right? Like,
thing. I think it's because I put so much time into watching YouTube and toy
yeah.
reviews that if I dedicate even 20% of that, I will probably start finishing some video games because I just don't realize how much YouTube I take in as just like osmosis. I take in,
Yeah.
right now, as soon as we're done, I'll either watch SmackDown or I'll sit on the couch with Brady. I'll just throw on YouTube and then I'll just go down a rabbit hole for like 4 hours and then go to sleep because it just
Yeah,
happens that way,
yeah. So
you know?
that's the kind of thing. So if you're when you're watching YouTube, I would be either reading a book,
Right,
probably still with YouTube on, but it's on in the
right.
background, right? Like, so I don't watch a lot of YouTube. If I'm working, I'll have something on in the background, something that I can kind of tune into and tune out. So I do a
Yeah.
lot of archaeology videos, that kind of thing.
That's the other thing I'm jealous of. Like you read books, like not just small books, not, you're reading like 600-page books and you're telling Matthew, you're like, oh, I read my ninth book. And I'm like, where, like, I'm busy, but I feel like you're busier. And somehow you find the freaking time to accomplish
It
all these books, video games, and,
do you,
it's just crazy, dude.
do you want to know how many books? And now, bear in mind, this isn't a brag, but
Hmm.
I think I'm on my 43rd book this year,
How the fuck
which
do you read 44 books in one
okay,
year, Alex?
so that sounds insane to you. One of my
100%.
friend, one of my friends, I'm looking at his Goodreads,
Hmm.
has read 143 books.
That's like 3 books a week on
Yes,
his end.
yeah, but so his job, he's able to like he's really good at what he does. He does tech support.
Yeah, right.
So he'll often sit there reading, and someone's like, "Well, how do I do this?" And he'll tell them exactly how to do it as he's reading
It's
because
so funny. I've heard
he
this
know
from other people
right,
too.
like he knows what he's doing. Like, oh, that's great. How'd you know that? It's like experience, and he's reading,
Right.
and like, oh, wow, brilliant, thanks very much. And then that's his job, right? Like he's able to read and talk. He can like
Yeah.
he's just a really smart guy that can just take information in.
Well, I'm
And I've
guessing it's
never seen
because
someone read as quickly as him either,
y- and retain it probably too,
and
right?
retain
It's
it.
not
Yeah,
that, yeah, exactly. So I'm known, and now that I've been older and haven't read as much as I used to when I was a kid, because I was a bookworm when I was a kid, but I was a speed reader, dude. I would read things fast and I'd retain, I'd say 70% of it, but I would read
which
like
is incredible.
insanely
Yep.
fast. So like I loved book reports because I would wait until, 2 days, maybe the night before, read the book in the, afternoon, do the book report at night, and I'd be cool. Even though I had 3 weeks to do it, I would wait until the last minute and it wouldn't bother me. Now,
No.
if you ask me to read a fucking book, I'd probably get 30 pages max before I put it down. Like I just, even if I absolutely love it, like what was a book I loved? Like the books I find myself reading is usually now like an autobiography or something that just
Yeah.
engrosses me. So I started reading Moxley's book one night and I got like 3 or 4 chapters through it. I was just cranking through it. I haven't gone back to it though. You know what I mean? I get very spotty with the way I
So
read. I don't
I
read a
really
ton.
want to read his book, but I also want to get the audiobook because he narrates it, and I think it'll be a
Oh,
really
dude,
cool experience of listening to him.
the way he opens his book, if I knew there was an audio, I would probably go the audio. Just the
Yeah.
way he opens up his book is fucking like it's so nonchalant. His like opening is like, so I done crack. And like that's the freaking opening. And it's just like so unapologetic. Like you can literally feel like, okay, this is the guy I see on Dynamite every week. Like
Yeah.
this is him. There's no airs behind it, no ghost writing. On the subject of that though, I'm very sore. Even as a John Moxley fan, I fucking hate the story that they're doing right. Like I abhor how Brian Danielson went out. It was his choice, and he wanted to put John over. It was very well known, but it is the dumbest thing I've seen so far. Like in a company full of talented wrestlers, 4 people who think they're the NWO with mixed martial arts have taken it over. Like, oh, it's so fucking bad. I don't know if you've seen any of it. It's just,
It's funny. I
oh,
haven't seen it, but I'm really enjoying what I'm reading about it.
oh, and they elevated Wheeler Yuta for no, like, who wants this guy? Like, what blackmail does he have? He's awful in this role. Like, he's bad as a face, but you can tolerate him because you're like, oh, he's
He's the
probably not
plucky
far
underdog.
from yeah. But him
Yeah.
as a heel, holy crap, dude. It is like cringe city. Moxley, this is good. Marina Shafir, I feel it's good. Claudio even is a reach in this one. But like, I mean, there's 4 of them, and you got a whole roster, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, we're gonna get a paper bag over us. We're screwed." I mean, not a paper bag, plastic bag.
But yeah.
And he's champion again. And like the gimmick is right now, we don't deserve to see the championship. He took it and threw it in like a black sack, and he's like, "We run AEW now."
I I think this is a vehicle to elevate the next generation though. If you're paying attention to some of the things they're saying, it's to
Yeah,
me it's sounding more like a vehicle to elevate Darby Allen, to bring Daniel Garcia up to the level, right? Like
right.
to really emphasize that. And I think eventually it's going to tie into what they're doing with the elite.
But they're
But
also bringing in Bobby Lashley and all these people that have been around for quite a while, which I don't mind. But like, it's a jumbled mess. There's no plan. Like Tony Khan books week to week, very obviously. And that's a stupid thing too, on the fact of it. Tony Khan, you're the CEO of the company. Everyone's running over you. Everyone. Like you don't have lawyers, you don't have security, you don't have like I mean, even from a kayfabe perspective, like Tony Khan's a weakling, but you have power and he doesn't use it. So my thinking is
see,
Shane
I've
McMahon's coming in to counter it.
100%. Like I think what
Yeah.
they're doing is in kayfabe, you're gonna have Shane McMahon coming in to do something.
Yep.
But I also think that in non-kayfabe, you've got. I think Brian Danielson is probably going to take a much bigger
Oh,
behind the scenes role now.
he's done.
And
I think he's fully done. He even
oh,
said he's got to go for one more surgery. And like, I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
I don't think you're going to see him in the ring much, if ever again. But I think he's
I'm,
always going to be involved with it
yeah, of
somehow.
course,
Like, is
of
it,
course.
in creative, and you can do creative realistically
Right,
from anywhere, right? Like, he doesn't have to
right,
fly in every week. He can spend time with his family, which is exactly what they want.
exactly. And he's
Like,
good
I
at it
think
too. I'll give him credit. The stuff
very good.
that's been
Yeah,
booked, he's good. Is he Triple H good? No, I don't think so. But he's
I
under the learning
the thing
tree and he's real good.
the thing is, I think that when it comes to Triple H, say what you will, he learned the business really well. So he's
Right.
going to be, I think, the best booker around at the moment.
Agreed. Because he
I'm not
started
saying
it.
that exactly. Like I'm not saying that Tony Khan and Brian Danielson can never get better. Like I don't know if they'll ever get to the Triple H level, but I'm
I
sure they're
think
going to
they
end
can
up.
get better.
They
I
can
think they can get
100% get better.
much
But I
better.
mean,
But
they've
they need
had.
help. Bad.
Oh, absolutely, and they've only been around for 5 years, right? So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
there's a lot of growing pains in that, but still
But there's
5 years
also a
is
lot of like smoke and mirrors too. Like there was a
100%.
post that was obviously pro AEW for the source, and they said AEW in its first 5 years out um, out earned WCW in its 13-year run. Bullshit. I call so much bullshit, and you know why? Because just the 1996 and 97 NWO alone, like adjust it for inflation, even WWE has never earned until
Yeah,
recently what they
I
earned.
I'd
Not
love
even
to know
close.
what I'd love to see the research behind that. Because
Yeah, like
I'm sure it's true in some way. Like right, like if
maybe
you
money now, but if
yeah,
you bumped up for
or
inflation,
like
I still think it's not true.
but I wonder if they're also counting in merchandise now versus because there's a lot more merch now. So I don't know. Like I would be curious to find out how they got those numbers because I'm sure
Right.
it is like I said. Hey, I'm an undefeated MMA fighter.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
true because I've never had an MMA match, and if I did, I would become a defeated MMA fighter.
I was
So
almost going to ask you if you actually had a match, but then you
no, never
explained
had.
it. So, okay.
No, and that's exactly my point, right? Like
Right.
I've never stepped into the cage, and I never will.
Right. It's a fact on face value, and I get that. But
Exactly.
like you were in the 90s with me. You're only a couple years younger than me. You're a whippersnapper. But like, think of the 90s. Did you go anywhere without seeing an NWO shirt in
Um,
every single crowd that existed?
yes.
Oh, in England?
Bearing in mind I was in England, yep.
Okay. But if you were here, even in Canada, you wouldn't have saw one place that you went on a weekend or any gathering that at least a couple people weren't wearing NWO shirts if they were the demographic.
Yeah.
It was the biggest selling merch, even more than Austin 316. And I adore Austin, but NWO was like mind blowing when it first
Mm.
happened because it was never done. You never had a heel that was the ultimate good guy. It was the very first time. And if you watched the McMahon documentary in full, McMahon takes credit for it. And it's like, dude, Eric Bischoff did it first. You have
Hmm.
to give him credit. And even Eric Bischoff was like, yeah, Vince did what I did. He did it better. He did it longer. He's like, but I did it first. He's like, what did I beat him? 83 weeks? What was it? 83 weeks? I think it was 83 weeks. Was it 83 weeks in a row? He's like, yeah, I think it was. And give the devil his due, man, because he came up with a lot of that shit. Like Eric
Yeah.
Bischoff was riding high, man. He was smart. Then you had Vince Russo come in and he just torpedoed that place. I told somebody the other day, I was like, the day Tony Khan allows Vince Russo ever to enter an AEW arena for
I
any reason, I'm done. I will be
I
gone.
don't think he will, because I think he's too much of a mark and recognizes, right? Like I think he's a
Right.
student of the history, so I think that he's happy to listen to Shane McMahon,
Yeah,
because ultimately Shane McMahon has had good ideas. He's had bad ones
he has.
too, but
He has. Yeah, he
but
has.
like ultimately he knows the business, and I think that it's well documented that Vince Russo is not even. I mean Tony Khan I think is a better booker than Vince Russo ever could be,
100%. Like I would never ever stoop that low. But
right?
with Shane McMahon, I have a different perspective after the documentary. I'm like, okay, you know what? He got every idea that was big squashed by his father. It never made it. Because he was just like, nope, not happening. So he anything he ever brought to the table was Vince heavy and approved. I'm like, what could he do
Yeah,
from a fresh perspective? And maybe we will see it in AEW. I hope
and
so.
and I think, I mean, even if they don't, having Shane McMahon as the name alone is going to draw eyes and conversation, right? So
Yeah. But we did circle really far. But I will say
we
this,
did.
and this will be a fun episode for people to like, try to keep up with. I think the ultimate thing, the only way I will let this current storyline with Moxley, and they don't even have a name yet, unless it's still the BCC,
I
but
think
it
it's
might
still the
be.
BCC.
Okay. The only way I will allow this is one, yeah, Shane will come back and slowly do something to, even the power out. But if this is leading to the return of Kenny Omega as the conquering hero, then I can see this being humongous
Uh,
if
Can
they do that.
can you imagine the pop
Yeah,
when
exactly.
Justin Roberts is given a piece of paper,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Because
Like,
I think there must be something because they had Kenny's like birthday cake on
yep.
Dynamite, even to
Oh,
troll him.
he's. I think he's coming back. I think
Yeah.
but I wonder if he's gonna deal with the elite first and let the younger guys go after Mox.
I wouldn't fucking do that. If I were them, I would the
Yeah,
money match
I
is Kenny versus Mox.
easily,
100%.
easily. Like, you could have the younger guys going up against Mox and the BCC and
Yeah.
struggling, and then all of a sudden you have Kenny coming in. But
Yeah.
I
Like,
also read a theory, and this will be my final thoughts. I've
okay, I have one
got to
more,
run.
but
So,
okay. Yep.
um, but I've been reading that the House of Black might start. I could see them backing Darby Allin as well, given that he's had a
Okay.
lot of feuds with Brody King, and there seemed to be
Yeah.
respect shown at the end. So I would be happy with Malachi Black versus Mox. I think that would be fantastic.
That would be great because we really have never touched into it, but I don't think you'll get it because I think
I
you're
don't.
going to get Aleister Black back in
Yeah,
NXT very soon.
again I can also see that, right. So
Yeah.
I I
But
think of like
my
mm,
final thoughts in like a
yeah, I should.
cornucopia, and we really like stepped over each other multiple times on this,
Eh,
but we don't mind. We're
no,
not, mad at it. My final thoughts for wrestling, how the wheel turns, a year ago from right now. I was telling you and everybody that MJF was the greatest thing in wrestling and just unbelievable, can't be touched, and it was true a year ago. Everything he touched turned to gold. Now, since he's come back, I don't know if it's the booking. I don't know if it's I don't know, but he's missed a huge connect with everything he's doing. Like other than the Daniel Garcia thing, it's a swing and a miss. Like we now have a good guy, Adam Cole, who we're supposed to sympathize with because he did the devil for us, and MJF was truly the devil. And it's just like it falls flat. I'm like, they had the
I
match of a decade at Wembley. They
yeah
can't duplicate this.
I think if anything, you're like MJF is always going to work best as a as an asshole.
As a heel,
Yeah,
right?
and I think what you're seeing with Adam Cole is it's not a face, but more as like a, to use
It's
a superhero term, he's like more of the anti-villain, where
it's just
he's
flat though,
yeah, he thinks, I think he's still a heel. He's trying to say, hey, I did this for you. Like, no, you didn't. But
right? Because like MJF, he's good when he's consistent. Like you
yeah,
have to keep him in a heavy creative role. Like when he was feuding with Osprey, that was fantastic. That brought out some of the best in him. I still say you have so much with MJF and Swerve in a main event program. Like there's a lot of options for him, but you can't take your foot off the gas with someone like MJF because he starts falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's what you see because they're so talent heavy that they don't know where to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. So
absolutely.
But that's my final thoughts. And then the HasLab is amazing. Anyone who sees it on, and you're even a half Ghostbusters fan, yes, Brady, back it. It's one of the biggest values I've ever seen, and I'm very happy that I backed it day one.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. Folks, you know where to find us. It's in the show notes, probably. It's going to be somewhere. Back the HasLab if you're interested. At the end of the day, we hope you have a good one.
All clear.
Yeah, this is that awkward wait when I'm waiting for the music to play out, but
of course.
No, there we go.
All right. So before I go, because I know you got to go.
Yeah.
When we do Steve.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.